All right, let's jump right in. Today we're unpacking the official Press Information Bureau, or PIB, updates from February 2026. And honestly, when you sift through these massive government documents, a really fascinating blueprint starts to emerge. The whole overarching theme here is the architecture of Viksit Bharat. That's the vision for a fully developed India by 2047. So for this explainer, we're going to bypass all the usual noise and look directly at the data, the core policies, and the structural shifts that are literally driving this vision forward. Let's explore this blueprint together.
7.6%. According to the newly released second advanced estimates for the 2025-26 financial year, that is India's projected real GDP growth rate. Just take a second to process the sheer scale of that economic momentum. I mean, it's staggering. We're living in an era of incredibly volatile global dynamics, so hitting a 7.6% growth rate, that is a massive, absolutely crucial indicator of structural resilience. And as we're going to see, this isn't just some random lucky spike. It's the calculated output of some very deliberate, heavily structured policy frameworks.
But, that begs a pretty fascinating question. How does a nation of well over 1 billion people actually measure its march toward the future? Because it's definitely not just about tracking raw output or throwing a party over a high GDP percentage. It requires a really meticulous, multi-layered approach to governance, to infrastructure, human capital, and of course, sustainability. You need a structured blueprint. And well, the February 2026 updates give us exactly that.
So, to make sense of all this data, we're going to break it down into 4 interconnected pillars: the new economic baseline, empowering the base, the tech and AI leap, and finally, sustainable energy.
Let's kick things off with Pillar 1, the new economic baseline. We're grounding the numbers for 2026-27.
So, the Union Budget 2026-27 is built around what it officially calls the Inspiring 3 Kartavya, which translates to duties. The first duty is to accelerate and sustain economic growth, while keeping the country resilient to global shocks. The second one shifts to the human element. It's all about fulfilling the aspirations of everyday people and building up their capacity. And then the third is about equity, just making sure that every single family, community, region, and sector actually has access to resources and opportunities. This triple mandate, resilience, capacity, and access, is the exact lens we need to use when looking at all these financial numbers.
4.3%. The budget lays out a very strict fiscal consolidation path, and it projects a reduced fiscal deficit of exactly 4.3% of GDP. On top of that, the debt-to-GDP ratio is projected to drop to 55.6%. But here's the truly wild part. The government is pulling off this debt reduction while at the same time maintaining a massive capital expenditure of 11 lakh crore rupees. It is a huge balancing act. They're driving heavy physical infrastructure growth through CapEx, they aren't compromising on social needs, and they're keeping the nation's debt metrics totally in check. In fact, India is officially on track to hit a debt-to-GDP ratio of 50 plus or minus 1% by 2030-31. Now, you might be wondering how they ensure these massive growth figures are actually accurate. Well, the Ministry of Statistics just rolled out a major update. They shifted the gross domestic product base year from the outdated 2011-12 baseline up to a post-COVID 2022-23 normal year. Think of it like recalibrating a giant scale to account for structural changes in the modern economy. They're using methodological enhancements, brand new high-frequency indicators, and a much better deflation strategy. Under this new framework, real GDP is estimated at 322.58 lakh crore rupees, with nominal GDP sitting at 345.47 lakh crore rupees. This level of granularity just ensures that the 7.6% growth rate we talked about is grounded in absolute modern reality.
All right, moving right along to Pillar 2, empowering the base. This is all about fueling growth from the ground up.
If you really want to empower micro, small, and medium enterprises to compete on the global stage, you have to back it up with capital. And the government did just that by approving the Export Promotion Mission, or EPM. This comes with a very serious financial outlay of 25,060 crore rupees, spanning all the way to 2030-31. The mission basically has 2 distinct arms. Think of it like this. Niryat Protsahan provides the hard financial enablers and trade finance support. That's the money to build the ship. Then you have Niryat Disha, which handles the non-financial side, things like compliance and market access. That's the map to navigate the ocean. Put them together, and you have an integrated end-to-end pathway for first-time exporters to actually break into global trade.
The whole philosophy here is building champion MSMEs for a global India. And to truly grasp why this is such a big deal, just look at the numbers. They're staggering. MSMEs currently account for roughly 35.4% of manufacturing and an incredible 48.58% of India's total exports. Literally almost half. By pumping equity, liquidity, and professional support into this sector, the strategy ensures that the very foundation of the economy isn't just surviving, it's actually being armed to become a global champion.
Which brings us to Pillar 3, the tech and AI leap. Let's look at building sovereignty and monitoring progress.
India just officially climbed to the 45th rank on the Network Readiness Index 2025, which is published by the Port Tillins Institute. That is a solid jump of 4 places. But honestly, the truly remarkable takeaway is where India ranks #1 globally. Ready for this? India is first in annual investment in telecommunications services, first in ICT, that's Information and Communication Technology Services exports, and, incredibly, first in AI scientific publications. This completely shatters the old stereotype of India just being a consumer of Western tech. It's now a primary creator and a massive investor.
So how exactly is India handling this AI gold rush? Enter Manav. Manav is India's civilizational, human-centric AI vision. Look, in a world that is frankly rushing headfirst toward unchecked tech expansion, this policy explicitly hits the brakes to prioritize humanity. It bakes ethics, governance, sovereignty, and safety right into the core structure. Through the India AI mission, they are funding projects focused on bias mitigation, privacy protection, and algorithmic auditing. Manav is making sure the technology actually serves the citizens, not the other way around. It's a really fascinating attempt to balance sovereign innovation with non-negotiable, human-first safeguards. Now, how does all this advanced tech actually apply to everyday governance? Look no further than Paimana. Rolled out by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, Paimana is a brand new web-based portal that acts as the ultimate tool for accountability. It actively monitors central sector infrastructure projects worth 150 crore rupees and above. Remember that mind-blowing 11 lakh crore capital expenditure we talked about earlier? Well, Paimana is the high-tech digital watchdog ensuring that money actually turns into physical progress on the ground. It uses a super efficient one data, one entry approach to provide real-time, analytics-driven oversight.
Okay, final stop. Pillar 4, sustainable energy, powering the transition to net zero.
So if you've got a rapidly growing economy, an empowered grassroots manufacturing base, and a booming AI sector, the ultimate question is, how on earth do you power this massive engine cleanly? The latest policy updates reveal a highly strategic shift in how India is tackling industrial emissions. They are officially moving away from the older PAT system, which stands for Perform, Achieve, Trade, and transitioning toward the new Carbon Credit Trading Scheme, or CCTS. The CCTS sets strict greenhouse gas intensity targets for heavy, emission-intensive industries, but crucially, it creates a dynamic, tradable carbon credit market. It's basically using raw market economics to genuinely incentivize the green transition.
But here's the thing. The transition to green energy isn't just for heavy industry anymore. It is being fully democratized. And that brings us to the India Energy Stack, or IES. What is so cool about the IES is how it shifts the whole paradigm from just having energy access to actually having energy agency. It's a digital public infrastructure built on open standards, and it empowers everyday consumers to monetize their own distributed energy assets. We're talking rooftop solar panels, home batteries, even EV chargers. By enabling near real-time settlement and easy onboarding, it literally turns everyday passive citizens into active, profit-making participants in the national energy grid. It's a total game changer.
Now, alongside decentralized solar and wind, the heavy-duty baseload power is getting a seriously futuristic upgrade. The budget highlights a whopping 20,000 crore rupee investment targeted specifically at small modular reactors, or SMRs. Basically, think of these as plug-and-play nuclear reactors. The goal here is bold. They want to have 5 or more of these indigenously designed SMRs targeted by the year 2033. This introduces graded liability, it significantly strengthens safety, and it keeps sovereign control over all the sensitive fuel cycle activities. It's a massive signal that India is banking on high-density, clean nuclear energy for its industrial future.
We've covered a tremendous amount of ground in this explainer today, haven't we? From the recalibrated 7.6% GDP baseline and the massive push for MSMEs, all the way to human-centric AI and a decentralized digital energy grid. But as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this somewhat provocative thought. With these profound economic, technological, and sustainable foundations now officially cemented into the 2026 policy landscape, is India's architecture for Viksit Bharat 2047 now complete?
Or is this literally just the warm-up act? Think about how these interconnected policies are going to compound over the next 2 decades. It is a lot to take in. Keep learning, keep analyzing, and we will catch you in the next explainer.